Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to be checking out the finale of Goblin Slayer. Yes, that's right. After the last 12 weeks it is finally time for Goblin Slayer to end. And it has been an interesting ride that I have thoroughly enjoyed, but I'm not necessarily thinking that it lived up to its initial hype. Still thoroughly enjoyed this show though. I'm still glad I watched it. I just think it kind of lost its momentum halfway through the show. But that's my opinion. Lots of people still really enjoy this, and I think that the last couple of episodes have been really good. I just think somewhere in the middle, it just kind of felt a bit rushed. I think it could have benefited from maybe having a bit more or focusing on some areas of the show a bit less, but that's just me. I've spoken about Goblin Slayer a lot. In the end of the last episode, we had a massive fight between the goblins and the members of the guild that Goblin Slayer is a part of. Everybody turned up to take part in this epic bloodbath, and it ended with the hobgoblins and 2 goblin champions coming out, and for the veterans of the guild to take them head on. And in a separate part of the forest, Goblin Slayer confronted the Goblin Lord, and we're going to see just how much of a fight this Goblin Lord can truly put up, and I guess we're going to see who is actually going to survive in terms of the veterans of the battlefield. Now, none of them looked particularly worried, but at the same time, there were an awful lot of hobgoblins, and 2 goblin champions, I suspect, is still no joke, even though they all might have defeated something of equal or greater proportions separately. In numbers, the goblins still very much have the advantage. So, without further ado, let's find out. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, the goblins are, Oh? Is that the inner voice of the Goblin Lord? Yes, it is! As long as I'm alive, there will always be another time.
I'll get you next time. Get you next time.
You fool! So some people were talking about whether or not we would hear the Goblin's inner voice. And the answer was yes. It feels like it's been forever since we've seen that intro. Goblin Lord isn't actually that much taller than Goblin Slayer. The fate of an adventurer. Oh! Did that chip off a piece of his armor? No, it was his shield that fell off. Oh no, it cut the shield! I lie. I stand corrected. Goblin Slayer's still holding on to his section.
Oh! Oh no, there's blood everywhere!
I don't know what I was expecting, but the Goblin Lord definitely isn't as, much of a threat as the bigger goblins are. Oh, yes! Her mate in with the save. Complimenting on Goblin Slayer. I like it. This isn't how adventures are supposed to be. I don't think you can mandate how you want your adventures to go. That's not how it works.
Fatality!
The power of teamwork. And her shield looks like it's going to be pretty hard to get through. Wait. Uh-oh! That's not good. Oh! What the heck? Did she just cut his hand off? Okay. Those two work well together. See, this is the kind... It's gone back to being a bit more gory in these last couple of episodes. Okay. He literally just stood there knowing that it would miss. And then did an anime run up and just... Yeah. That's one way to kill him. Goblin Slayer's not doing as well, though. Which is interesting. Now, you know what? I keep trying to lean back. I can't lean back in this one. This is pretty hype. Oh, his shield has just been taken in half, and he got his arm as well. He's not doing very well. Oh, is his sword broken as well? Oh, because he got his sword in. Oh my lord, he aimed it right where the crack in his armor was. Okay, this could be problematic. We need Goblin Slayer to do his rage moment. We need his eye to light up. Oh, the goblins, they just sound so demonic, man. With that filter on their voice actor. Yeah, priestess. Damn, look at her go. The animation in this episode is on point. Oh, what the hell? She's squashing in between 2 protection walls. Oh, that's brutal! Goblin Slayer has definitely created a monster, and for all the right reasons. The only good goblin is a dead goblin. Finish him! He can speak! Okay, right then. Just to give us a reminder of why goblins shouldn't be allowed to live, just in case anyone was feeling sympathetic. Well, there we go. And I'm the goddamn Goblin Slayer. Yes! Oh, it was part of the plan all along. Of course it was. I don't blame him for that recommendation. He definitely could stand to think some things through a few more times, but... Ha! It's because we're comrades! And that's how adventuring is supposed to work. So, reality of real life monster hunting has kind of blended with the fictional version of camaraderie of going on adventures. Not quite a flawless victory or a perfect, but I'll take it. Everybody's having a good time and drinking. Oh! Now, is that because he's a lightweight or because some of the drink got spiked? He only got 1 gold coin, but he couldn't care less what he gets for doing it. He'd do it for free. Oh, and now he has done it for free. We've brought more alcohol so that you can spend all your money and we can claim all of it back before you leave tonight. I like their business strategy. Oh, he's still doubting himself as to whether or not he's a hero or an adventurer worthy of being in that hall. I think I want to be an adventurer. Okay. So he bought everyone a drink. Well, that's a good point. I'm curious what the answer's going to be. But in fairness, he didn't post it, Priestess. No one came when it happened to my village. Oh, okay. Apparently I'm a weirdo. Well, you kind of are, but... Okay. Take your helmet off. Yeah, I knew she was going to say that. I was just going to say. I'm sure she's seen him with his helmet off. Her eyes. It's like, calm down, calm down. Everybody's in shock. They've never seen him without his helmet on before. Why is everybody so amazed? Like, I get some of the interest, but this is a bit OTT, isn't it? I could swear I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yeah, he has seen him before, hasn't he? Because he came in without his helmet on, but we couldn't see anything. So now everybody knows what he looks like, but us. Oh! Nope. We saw him smile, and see he's got a couple of little scars. Oh! That's it? Damn, that flew by. Oh! A canary's back. Oh, it's, Isai from high school. He's just another pawn, dudes. He refused to let his destiny be decided by outworldly forces or other people. He never let the gods roll the dice. Yeah! Exactly, man. Oh! I was gonna say, looks like he's back to work. Goblin Slayer will return! Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was Goblin Slayer episode 12, and also the finale of the first season. And I'm saying the first season because we just got confirmation right there that Goblin Slayer will be back once again to slay some more goblins, to say things that everybody else gets annoyed at, and probably to just have a generally displeasing manner with which annoys his comrades, but will eventually be laughed at in a cheerful manner, which will mean that they will form a closer bond of loyalty and friendship. And that about sums up the season that we've had. I mean, as for the episode itself, yeah, I thought this was a good episode. Haven't really looked in to see what everybody else is thinking of this episode, because, well, I don't care. No, that's not entirely true. I do care to a degree, but you know what I mean. Right now, I think my initial thoughts after seeing that episode is it seemed to be one of their best animated episodes for a while, same as last week, and I absolutely loved seeing the cleanup fight between the guild and the hordes, you know, seeing the various characters that we've been becoming accustomed to as the series has gone on, taking apart the hobgoblins and taking out the champions was really nice. I loved seeing the lizard man just slice and dice that hob, and he just fell apart at the seams. I was like, where was this? Where has this been, like, throughout the rest of the series? I mean, it's like suddenly someone just flipped the on switch on the gore button again. And I don't just mean that from a gore standard. I mean, if Lizard Man was actually able to do that and fight like that in the earlier episodes, they could have avoided so much grief. I mean, Lizard Man's like a one-man army out in the open, but as I said last week, maybe that's why. Maybe because he's got the space and the room to maneuver, that actually gives him an advantage, whereas Goblin Slayer is at disadvantage when he's got to fight one-on-one out in the open. He's more used to fighting in close quarters combat, like the goblins, you know, inside, using their own methods against them, and setting up traps and ambushes, etc. Which, you know, when you're fighting goblins in their own cave is the best way to do it, but most of these adventurers are obviously much more experienced and used to fighting out in the open. They've probably taken part in big group fights like this before as well. And then obviously while all of that was going on, Goblin Slayer had his duel with the Goblin Lord. And we also got the revelation that the Goblin Lord can speak Japanese. Assuming that that's the language that they're all speaking. But yes, Japanese. And I thought that was going to be it. I just thought we were getting to hear his point of view, like what it is that he's thinking. But then they went a step further as the priestess was crushing him. And they decided to drop an even bigger bombshell that actually no. He has command of the spoken word, even though he mostly speaks in goblin-like grunts and noises, which somehow translates into language that the goblins understand. He also does actually have the ability to talk. And the fact that he tried to pull on her sympathy cord is an interesting one, because Goblin Slayer said right in the first episode that they will look helpless and pathetic, and then, you know, beg for mercy or cry, etc. in order to pull on your heartstrings so that you won't kill them. And then that only makes them more mad, and they'll hold that grudge, and it'll become their mission in life to find a big nest that can then come and wipe you and everybody you know out. And what made it even more poignant was the fact that they then literally played that exact memory of the Goblin Lords, I'm guessing when he was young, and yeah, an adventurer let him live, and before she even had a chance to think about her decision as she turned around, he bashed the back of her brains in with a rock, and then grabbed a load of his goblin buddies, I assume at a later date because they must have needed to grow, and ransacked the nearby town, and appeared to take quite a host of women prisoners, and obviously, given what the Goblin Lord was saying, he's obviously been doing this for a long time. And that's just really, really not a pleasant thought that he's been collecting women for reproduction services for many, many years now. And it's just like, nah. I don't need that mental image, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, the fact that they played that right before Goblin Slayer got back up and killed him, and as Priestess was crushing him, but he was trying to be all like sympathetic and say, I will live in peace. It's like, no you won't. You really won't. There ain't no one here who's gonna believe you, so yeah. And the fact, I love the way that Goblin Slayer was like, Lord, there's nothing special about you. You're just another goblin, another filthy little goblin like all the rest. And then killed him, and I was like, sick burn as the death happened, dude. Then we also got to see everybody coming together at the guild and having a nice time, and it felt really good to see everybody just relaxing. And they even got a little line from the hero who's saying, you know, that the Goblin Slayer has allowed her to go to this festival, whatever it is, so that, you know, she doesn't have to go and save the town from a goblin army, which she probably would have had to have done because the farm would have been overrun and then the goblins would have attacked the town. Now, she would have been able to win, but like she said, she's like, oh, good, I don't have to do anything in this town. It's been taken care of. Awesome! I don't know about you guys, but I am actually going to miss Goblin Slayer being on Saturday nights. It may not have been everything that I thought it was going to be, but these last couple of episodes have reminded me that it could be something really different, and it is something different. It is still, even though it's not quite as heavy as I thought it was going to be, it is still a more adult-themed or mature fantasy setting than your typical run-of-the-mill fantasy adventure series where everything goes right and everybody just has a jolly old time adventuring and killing those dastardly monsters. You know, that was the bit I always liked about this show, was the fact that they were showing, like, the realities of going on an adventure. It's really not a life of fun and frolicking. It's, you know, something you've really got to think about and understand what that means, what it is that you're actually taking on, you know? Life isn't like one of those action films where people get shot or people get stabbed or people get cut with swords and then nothing happens, they just fall over. It is gory. It is bloody. And like when, I think the best part was when the two young adventurers, like she was about to get killed by a goblin and Matey managed to finally kill one and bring his sword down. And the way he was looking at that goblin was like, yes, he was happy he saved his friend, and yes, he was happy that he'd finally killed one, but the look on his face, looking at the body and the way the camera just held on it for a minute, seeing his head, or the goblin's head, split open, and obviously everything was oozing out, and it's like, yeah, lovely. Now you gotta clean that off your sword, and now you gotta make sure that that sword stays sharp. And this is your life that you want to keep doing this. Yeah? You sure? Because you don't look sure. And that's the kind of thing that I kind of liked from the word go. Yeah, I like the action as well. I think this show has delivered some really solid action and some interesting characters, if not that interesting story. But there has been story in the background as well. Just maybe not as necessarily important to the show, like a big overarching story. I think this show has been more about characters and their interpersonal relationships and how they've developed from episode 1 to episode 12. Priestess and Goblin Slayer have obviously changed quite a lot since they first met each other in the middle of episode 1. Priestess is completely different to how she wandered in and was like, I would like to be an adventurer. And Goblin Slayer is completely different from pretty much being social with nobody to almost having a recurring party and now kind of on the verge of thinking that maybe everybody in the guild, you know, yeah, they think he's a weirdo. Yeah, he's not everybody's favorite person, but at the same time, maybe, just maybe, there's the possibility that they might actually have his back and that he isn't a hated man of society or like a social outcast. He is, but like some of that is his doing, and I think this episode was him realizing that, like, especially when he took his helmet off, like everybody was like immediately trying to find out what he looks like. Now obviously they did bet on that, which is where I suspect for a lot of people the motivation was coming from, but at the same time, from his point of view, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I've been doing this a little bit wrong, you know? Not saying that he has been doing it wrong, mind. I actually think, you know, his methodologies have been great. I've said this in other episodes, but when it comes to being social with the rest of his guild, when it comes to hanging out with them, I think he could stand to make some improvements, and I think that's what's going to happen when we get the next season, because it's not if. And yeah, I don't know if there's been any word on when since this episode has dropped, or whether just will return is what we're going to have to live with for the next few months, but, you know, it's good to know that it's not just the Avengers or Thanos that will return. It's, you know, it's good to know that other characters are now starting to jump on the bandwagon of telling us they'll be back eventually. All in all, I really enjoyed watching Goblin Slayer from start to finish, and I thought that this was a good episode finale. Now, some people on my Discord have said that some people haven't liked this finale episode. I don't really know why. I mean, I kind of get that it was a bit short of a fight, but I think it actually served its purpose well. I think if the fights had been dragged out, they would have lost their meaning. The fact that they were so short but sweet is what makes them work. It's the same as a completely different type of example, but it's one I'll always go to. Expendables 2, Van Damme versus Stallone. That is one of the shortest action movie end fights between two characters, you know, the hero and the villain, that you'll ever see. it is ridiculously short when you're watching it. It's not actually that short in running time if you look at the scene as a whole, but the actual amount of time that they spend in physical confrontation with one another is probably less than Goblin Slayer fought Goblin Lord, and it's also one of the best because it's so short. Every hit is meaningful. It's almost, and I'm definitely using the word almost, realistic, and Goblin Slayer is the same in this kind of fighting. You know, they weren't going at it for ages. They didn't have unlimited stamina. They weren't able to tank fatal blow after fatal blow after fatal blow. You know, Goblin Slayer's armor was breaking, and he won by putting his sword through the tiny bit of armor that he'd managed to damage before Maid, you know, knocked him over, broke his shield, damaged his armor, probably, you know, well, not probably, he did severely injure him through the armor, and then he stamped on his head lots of times. But his plan all along was to just distract him whilst Priestess got into a good position in order to distract him so that he wouldn't notice that there was a great big protection barrier behind him. And it worked. So, yeah, I think it's a great scene. It shows Goblin Slayer's tactical thinking once again, just like, you know, the way he commanded the group in the previous episode, and how he predicted everything that the Goblin Lord was going to do. It just shows that his skill is not necessarily with a sword and a shield like people think it is. It's his mind, it's his greatest weapon. But he's not OP with it. I mean, he kind of is, because he can pretty much win against anything. I mean, I'm waiting for this amount of people who's going to start calling him the Batman of Goblin Slaying, but he isn't, because in several episodes he has, you know, taken a severe beating from the plan not going the way that it was supposed to. Case in point being when we met our first Goblin champion. You know, that took everybody by surprise, and there wasn't anything anybody could do about it at the end of the day. And they all nearly lost. And even though they did manage to pull off not so much a win, but they managed to get out of there, it was because of Goblin Slayer's pure stubbornness not to die, that the rest of them were then able to basically stumble their way out carrying his practically dead corpse. So, you know, that's the other thing that I think makes Goblin Slayer so endearing. No matter how powerful he might be in terms of the narrative, he is ultimately an underdog in every single confrontation, and it shows that, you know, his planning, his tactics, and his choice of armor, weapon, and not gadgets, that's not the word I want, but equipment, I suppose is the best way to put it, matters more so than their numbers, their savagery, even sometimes their magic, their size. His willpower to overcome the odds will always get through. Won't always get through, mind. You know, like I said, he's lost, but in his mind, he won't let anything like that dampen his self-confidence or his faith in his abilities. And as they said at the end there, the gods realized a long time ago that he won't be affected by their decisions. He won't let the dice be rolled by them. He will make up his own life, and he will do what he's gonna do up until the point that he dies. And I think that is something that everyone can identify with, and everybody can kind of take a message away from. And in that regards, I really like the character of Goblin Slayer. Now, there are other people who'll just say that, you know, he's the PTSD poster boy child living with traumatic experiences that has turned him into a social outcast with slight sociopathic issues, and, you know, doesn't want to interact with the society or improve on his self-destructive behavior. But I'm not one of them, so I don't really want to have to argue that point. I just really enjoy Goblin Slayer, and I think that Season 2 could be really, really, really good, as so long as it doesn't get messed with, and they don't try and make it... how do I say this? Basically, so long as they don't try to censor it for the point of view of Goblin Slayer was popular, so therefore we're going to make it less offensive so that more people will watch it, and we'll get the money. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, I suspect that I have rambled on for long enough at this point. So, as always, if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this reaction, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. Leave your comments down below letting me know what you thought of this episode and on my thoughts, so that I can read them, react to them, love them, and comment back to you if the need or the time is there. Now, as this is the end of Goblin Slayer, that frees up some more time for me to do some more things. Some of you may have noticed that the channel has been dead over the Christmas period. Don't worry, there is nothing wrong. It is just because it's the Christmas period and my partner stroke girlfriend, because it seems to confuse people if I call her a partner, has not been at work, so we've been spent pretty much the whole week together, which is something we very rarely get the chance to do. Yesterday I started recording more anime. I posted on Patreon yesterday. I have a fan film to react to in a minute, and then I'm going to be starting one of the new shows that will be coming to the channel, and I will also be editing some of the shows that will be coming to YouTube that have been on the back burner because I just haven't had the time to edit them. So don't worry, come 2019, there's lots of videos that are literally just waiting for me to finish editing them, or for me to film. That's a slightly different issue, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just waiting for me to find a block of time to edit, which now that Jade's doing night shifts over this weekend, I'm actually have been doing, so yeah, I'm going to be working on them and I'll be scheduling them, so yeah, that'll be that. And if you're looking forward to all of the new anime, or you're new around here yourself but have liked what you've seen so far, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell to stay notified for all the good it seems to do, but it's certainly better than not having it clicked. That's going to be all from me though. As always, my name is Psycho Gold, and I will see you in my next video. Psycho Gold, out.